So I'll begin with a question. Do we live in a post-sin world? Do we still believe in sin? I'm not sure that we do anymore. You know, one way to deal with something that is difficult to face is to ignore it. Or even better, explain it away. I was reminded of this recently by a song I heard. My daughter is participating in her school play, West Side Story. Opening night is Thursday, and I can't wait. Over the past few months, we've watched the 1961 film version of West Side Story. You remember this story, right? It was inspired by Romeo and Juliet, and it's about two rival gangs, the Jets and the Sharks, on the Upper West Side of Manhattan in the mid-1950s. The leader of the Jets falls in love with the sister of the leader of the Sharks, and things go downhill from there. The common enemy of both gangs is a police officer, Officer Krupke. Remember Officer Krupke? If you've seen the movie, get the picture of Officer Krupke in your mind. And he's constantly chasing after him, trying to keep the peace. There comes a point in the story when the Jets are waiting to meet the Sharks for a war council to plan their next rumble. And while they wait, the Jets sing this song about Officer Krupke. And I'm going to read the lyrics to you. Now, one thing we discovered about some of these songs in West Side Story, they are hard to sing. They kind of jump around a bit, and the lyrics are a bit difficult, so hang with me. It goes like this. Dear kindly Sergeant Krupke, you gotta understand, it's just our bringing upkey that gets us out of hand. Our mothers all are junkies, our fathers all are drunks. Golly Moses, naturally we're punks. Gee, Officer Krupke, we're very upset. We never had the love that every child ought to get. We ain't no delinquents. We're misunderstood. Deep down inside us, there is good. There is good. There is good. There is good. There is untapped good. Like inside, the worst of us is good. That's a touching good story. Let me tell it to the world. But just instead, let's tell it to the judge. Dear kindly judge, your honor, my parents treat me rough. With all their marijuana, they won't give me a puff. They didn't want to have me, but somehow I was had. Leaping lizards, that's why I'm so bad. Officer Krupke, you're really a square. This boy don't need a judge. He needs an analyst's care. It's just his neurosis that ought to be curbed. He's psychologically disturbed. I'm disturbed. We're disturbed. We're disturbed. We're the most disturbed, like we're psychologically disturbed. In the opinion of this court, this child is depraved on account he ain't had a normal home. Hey, I'm depraved on account I'm deprived, so take him to the head shrinker. My daddy beats my mommy clobbers me, my grandpa is a commie, my grandma pushes tea, my sister wears a mustache, my brother, he's a mess. Goodness gracious, that's why I'm a mess. Officer Krupke, you're really a slob. This boy don't need a doctor, just a good, honest job. Society's played him a terrible trick, and sociologically, he's sick. I'm sick, we are sick, we are sick, we are sick, 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 like we're sociologically sick. In my opinion, this child don't need to have his head shrunk at all. Juvenile delinquency is purely a social disease. Hey, I got a social disease, so take him to a social worker. Dear kindly social worker, they say go earn a buck, like be a soda jerker, which means like be a schmuck. It's not I'm antisocial, I'm only anti-work. Glorioski, that's why I'm a jerk. Officer Krupke, you've done it again. This boy don't need a job. He needs a year in the pen. It ain't just a question of misunderstood. Deep down inside him, he's no good. I'm no good. We're no good. We're no good. We're no earthly good. Like the best of us is no damn good. The trouble is he's crazy. The trouble is he drinks. The trouble is he's lazy. The trouble is he stinks. The trouble is he's growing. The trouble is he's grown. Krupke, we got troubles of our own. Gee, Officer Krupke, we're down on our knees, 'cause no one wants a fellow with a social disease. Gee, Officer Krupke, what are we to do? Gee, Officer Krupke, Krupke you. When I heard that song, it struck me that it perfectly describes the struggle with sin that I believe afflicts millions of Westerners today. It begs the question, do we still believe in sin today? In the song, the Jets explore the possibility of why they are the way they are. Why are they hoodlums, criminals, gang members? Notice that they begin with an underlying belief that deep down inside they are good. Or to put it in theological terms, they are pure, even sinless. But they claim that goodness has been corrupted by their parents, their circumstances, their society. They're sociologically sick. They have a social disease. I love the play on words. They even claim that they're not antisocial. They're just anti-work. Finally, the judge says what needs to be said. They need time in the pen, which leads them to realize that their initial underlying belief that deep down they're good or sinless is incorrect. And in fact, they really are no good, no earthly good. So at the end of the song, they're down on their knees because no one wants a fellow with a social disease. Because they see who they really are, through and through. That they're no good, they're no good, they're no earthly good. Ash Wednesday is a challenging holy day in the church year. We are reminded today that we are from dust, and to dust we shall return. We're all going to die. We're also reminded of our sinfulness, that we are full of sin. Like the Jets, to our core, we're no good, we're no good, we're no earthly good. Which, if we can hear that, like the Jets, it'll drive us to our knees. The narrative of the church is so deeply countercultural. The church dares to tell us the truth about ourselves. We're no good, we're no good, we're no earthly good. Just take our readings today. They remind us that our sin permeates everything, even our worship. Jesus has to say out loud how to worship and how not to worship. He has to do this because he knows that we are shot through with sin to our very core. Isaiah has to say it out loud too. Isaiah has to tell us that true worship, the worship that pleases God, comes in the form of helping the poor, feeding the hungry, freeing the oppressed, welcoming the stranger. That's true worship. With the way we live, God knows we have trouble offering true worship. And it's because we're no good, we're no good, we're no earthly good. And because we're no good, because we're filled with sin, we are in deep need of a Savior. Someone outside of ourselves who will come and save us from ourselves. The world, however, spends all sorts of time and energy trying to convince us that we are good. Within us there is good. There is good. There is untapped good. And all that's wrong with us is that we have a social disease. Or we were raised wrong. Or we just need to find a certain job. Or we just need to buy that certain product. Or we just need a great lifestyle. Or we just need to go on envy-provoking vacations. or we just need a lot of money, or we just need to look out for only ourselves first, of course, or that our greatness is determined by our GDP, or that our problems reside in people who are not like us, or a million other lies designed to make us look away from the truth about ourselves. That we're no good, we're no good, we're no earthly good. Today, Ash Wednesday, we begin what is called the Paschal cycle in the church year, which spans Lent, Easter, and Pentecost. Today we begin the Christian story, the story about sinfulness, being no good, no earthly good, yet a story about being deeply loved and adored by God, and fully redeemed by a Savior who went to a cross to make us good, to make us good, to make us eternally good. Today we are invited to a Holy Lent, to contemplate our fallenness and to be driven to our knees. And during this Holy Lent, to anticipate our redemption. So let Lent tell us the Christian story afresh. Let Lent tell us who we really are. Let Lent prepare us for the great miracles that are Holy Week and Easter. I invite you to a Holy Lent.